Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is John Ferry, and welcome to New Zealand Tattoo. Today, it was my great pleasure to talk to Nikole Lowe, who's not only an OG in New Zealand tattooing, but she's the owner of Good Times Tattoo in London. It was a really fun conversation with Nikole today. Please do follow her work on Instagram under Nikole_Lowe. And if you like the conversation, please do subscribe to the channel, like the video, and look out for all the videos coming up. Good morning.
Hiya, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thanks.
What an amazing backdrop.
Oh, good. I just moved the table so you didn't see my sofa.
So good. I was kind of expecting to see one of your wallpapers.
Oh, no, I don't have it at home.
Nah.
No.
So good. I was looking at them today. They're amazing, man.
Oh, thank you very much.
How long have you been doing that?
I did it last year in lockdown.
Okay.
Oh, no, this year. Yeah, last year.
Cool. And were you able to sell many?
A few, not loads.
Cool.
But a few.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much for doing this.
That's all right. How's New Zealand?
It is muggy, real muggy. Yeah. We're I don't know if you heard, but we've been in a lockdown for the last over 100 days now.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. So coming up to 4 months, and I think what's today? Today's Thursday.
Are you in Auckland?
Yeah, Auckland. Yeah. I'm out in Titirangi. Yeah. So we're back into it as of the 3rd. So in about a week. Crazy hiatus. It's weird. I feel really nervous about getting back into it, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I haven't touched the machine for near on 4 months, and yeah.
It's just like riding a bike.
Hopefully, yeah. I might actually. I was saying today to my wife that I think I might actually have to do a couple on myself just before I get any other clients in.
Nah, practice on them first.
Yeah. Get paid for it. Yeah. Hey, So, thank you so much for doing this. I don't know if you know any of the background as to why I'm doing this.
No.
But basically, I absolutely adore tattooing across the board, and one thing that I have struggled to find is some like a bit more information about my favorite artists, and especially New Zealand tattooists, whether they be in New Zealand or overseas. And so I thought, seeing as I've got a little bit of time, I'd try to reach out to some of my favorite New Zealand artists and see if they want to have a chat. And
cool.
Yourself being one of them. I've been keeping my eye on your art and your studio, especially for years and years. And when I lived in London a few years ago, I went hunting one day in Shoreditch and found your spot and went up to have a look at it, because I'd seen so many photos of that shrine that you've got, that wall of just religious paintings and drawings and the big cross and stuff. And I managed to get up there, and I didn't know, but Matt Black was tattooing there, and then I ended up booking in and getting my back done. It was amazing.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, if it's cool with you, just to have a bit of a chat, I'm really like the biggest thing that I'm keen on kind of learning about yourself is your journey in tattooing. And generally the best place to start is kind of the start. So what's a young Nikole doing in New Zealand before tattooing?
Well, I left school when I was 16.
Yep.
As you did.
Yeah.
Mainly because of my art teacher was so mean, and my mum made me leave school. Yeah, she hated me. I was one of 3, and I was the youngest, and my brother and sister were both quite naughty. So I think the art teacher didn't like me just before I even got there,
Got it.
So I worked in an office for a year or two, for 2 years. And then when I was 18, I went up and saw Phil Matthias on the hill, Painless Phil, Demographics. And that was in 1991. And I thought I could sell some of my drawings to him, because I used to just draw all the time.
Cool.
But my drawings were so bad. When I see what I was drawing, it was just terrible. But he fancied me, so
nice.
And his receptionist was leaving; she was pregnant, so he offered me a job and a relationship.
Amazing.
My mum and dad were really pissed off because I was 18, he was 35, and it was pretty. And working in a tattoo shop,
Yeah.
They weren't happy at all. It was really
Wow.
funny.
So whereabouts did you grow up? Were you always Auckland?
Yeah, Silverdale.
Silverdale, cool. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
It
straight
wasn't
into it.
classed as Auckland when I was a kid. It was Rodney, and now it's Auckland.
Yeah.
You used to have to go all through all these like back roads to get into the city. It used to take an hour to get into the city. We'd only
Jeez.
go there for like birthdays.
Yeah, yeah. Was the Harbour Bridge just 2 lanes back then?
Yeah, yeah. No, nah, not that old. It probably
So
was, I still
yeah,
remember
yeah.
the toll booths.
That's amazing. Yeah,
I
how
come
often
home
are you?
every year. I usually come home every year, but just
Okay,
not
cool.
this year. So I came
Yeah,
home last year, 2020.
awesome. And so your family's still in Auckland?
Yeah, my parents still live on the same farm that I grew up on.
Oh, brilliant.
Well, they got the last little bit of land.
I'd be worth a pretty penny now.
Mm,
Yeah. So
yeah.
how long were you receptionist kind of before you
Oh, so
started?
I did like a 2-year apprenticeship with Phil,
Cool.
and or 2 or 3 years, and then but it basically just threw me in straight at the beginning, started teaching me, and started tattooing. Actually, I found something yesterday. I was cleaning up my sort of art room because it just got into a real mess upstairs,
Yeah.
and I found my um, my application for the New Zealand Tattoo Artists Association,
Wow. Cool.
with photographs of my work from 1995.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's really
Wow.
good.
And so
So yeah,
what sort of tattoos were you doing back then?
well, you just did whatever in the 90s, didn't you?
Just whatever
Superman
walked in.
logos,
Nice.
leaping tigers, skulls ripping out of skin,
Mm.
the good stuff, fantasy
Yeah.
dragons.
So good. And so
Like
what prior to
lots of tiny little things. I used to
yeah,
tattoo lots of fingernails, and Phil used to always try to make me do the eyeliner as well, which was terrible.
geez, that's intense.
Yeah.
All right. And so before taking your art to Phil, had you been tattooed? Did you
No,
have a couple no, nothing.
no, I had tattooed myself at school, just like the little things on my feet. But my
Yeah.
parents had also spent like thousands of dollars getting my sister's tattoos removed because she'd tattooed herself.
Oh wow.
And so I didn't get tattooed for years before I think I didn't get tattooed even like a professional one until I'd been doing it for like about 5 or 6 years because I didn't want to upset my mum. And then
Wow.
when I came to London, I just went berserk
Absolutely. Yeah, as you do. Yeah.
because she wasn't around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. That's insane that you were tattooing for 4 or 5 years before you actually even got your own. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Phil didn't want me to practice on myself because he had really shitty tattoos on his arms, and then he got them lasered off. But back then, they weren't really lasered; they just basically cut the skin off and then
Yeah.
gave you a skin graft.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
his arms were terrible, and then he just covered them up with more
Bad.
stuff. I couldn't even see what was under there. Never saw
Oh,
it.
right.
It was just a big mess. So he
Yeah.
never wanted me to practice on myself.
Just in case kind of thing.
So yeah, he had like
Wow.
this guy called Brett Farquharson, who was a boxer.
Great name.
And yes, good name, isn't it?
Great
And I
name.
did both of his legs. He was my practice.
Wow.
And the first thing I did was a comedy and tragedy skulls.
Cool.
And basically, his legs were lots of probably little skulls with flames. I think the whole background was flames, and everything was just skulls, if
Choice.
I remember rightly, something like that.
So good. And so, how long were you with Phil? Did you just stay there until you left to go to London, or
No,
did you go around a couple of years?
I was with Phil for about 5.5 years.
Yep.
And in that time, Shane Gallagher came up, and I was working with him. And about '94, I was working with Shane in New Zealand, and so that was good. Then he introduced me to because when I worked for Phil, that's when him and Craig were developing the swash machine, and so like at the very first swash machine, that's what they made me learn with. So that
Wow.
was really weird. So I'd never used a coil or anything. And Shane came up and he was using coils, and he's like, "Oh no, man, you got to use coils." And so that's when I tried my first coil, which I never gave. I gave my first swash machine to India. Actually, I swapped it for this really cool national machine, which I love. But I wish I'd kept it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then after that, I went and worked in Albany with Jaime. What was it called? I don't know, probably Albany tattoo or something. Oh no, it's not there anymore because
Yeah.
I mean everything's so changed.
Yeah.
And then I was there for quite a few years, and then I went. There was this bead shop, and they asked me to go work there. They gave me like this really good deal, and I went there, and I hated it. And I really, really hated it. I wasn't learning anything. It was just felt really shit. And then my best friend said she was moving to London, so
Oh,
so my mate Aaron Soph that I used to work with in at Dermographics and at Albany, he used to come to London every year and work for the Angels over here. And so they said, "Oh, I'll get you a job." So I was okay. So I came and worked for the Angelic Cow Angels,
amazing.
and then Marcus sold that to Danny, and that became Frith Street. So I was there and then left.
Cool. And so when you left New Zealand, was the goal to do a bit of travel and tattoo, or was it just to solely kind of set yourself up in London and just go?
No, I had no goal. I had nothing. I had no idea. I was only coming because my best friend was coming,
So good.
and I didn't want to be left alone. So I sold everything. I bought a one-way ticket because I couldn't afford a return.
Amazing.
And luckily, I have my grandmother was born here, so I have ancestry.
Ah, cool. Yeah.
And no, I had no plan. I just was coming over, and we just partied.
So good. So
My
good.
plan was to just come and see what happened, and then 21 years later, I'm still here.
It's the best. That's so cool. And so you were there for obviously the genesis of the Frith Street, because that's obviously a staple as well as yours in London. How long did you hang out there before you started going, I think I might kind of want to do my own?
Well, after Frith Street, I went to Into You,
Okay.
which was like one of the best shops in
Yeah.
London. You know, been around
Yep.
forever. Alex Spinney. And then during that I was on London Inc. And then I said to Alex, "Oh, I think I'm going to leave." And he was like, "Okay." And then I found a place, and it fell through. And I was like, "I don't want to leave." He goes, "No,
Yeah.
you got to go. You can have 3 months." I was like, "Oh fuck! How am I going to find a place in 3 months?" And that was there was a recession, wasn't there, in 2009. So I got my place in Shoreditch. I didn't really want to be in Shoreditch.
Okay.
I thought it was too close to Into You, but yeah. And now, unfortunately, I'm moving.
No way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I got my studio in Shoreditch, nobody wanted to be there, and it was really cheap. And now everybody wants to be there, and it's tripled in price. So I'm
Oh,
moving. So I just got keys this week. So that's
congratulations.
exciting.
So
Thank
are
you.
you able to say where you're moving to?
It's Hackney Central.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, which is
Cool.
not far. It's still East London. It's like
Yeah.
a little bit further.
Such a cool area to be into. So do you live nearby as well? Are you in that area?
Yeah,
Joyce.
yeah. I'm by Broadway Market,
Okay, cool.
which is East London. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we were just northeast, up in East Finchley, kind of just straight up from Camden. It was yeah, amazing while we were there.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask. Obviously, you mentioned London Inc. What was that like? Because that was must have been huge for you at the time.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know how I got it really. I didn't really want to do it, but I didn't want anybody else to do it
Yeah, yeah,
because I really wanted to do some good tattoos on there, and so it was a real struggle. I mean, I love that I did it. I probably ruined the industry by doing it. Helped ruin the industry, but I just really wanted to try and do some good tattoos from a female perspective, really.
Right.
And it was a real struggle because they just were really more interested in getting a whole story behind it, and so there was a bit of head clashing, really, trying to get good work. You know, they would rather me just do a fairy or something like that and have like a shitty story. Where I was thought, if I just do one fairy, that's me. I'll be doing fairies for the rest of my life. And
yeah.
so I ended up, I did a couple of koi fish, and then I did koi fish for years, and then I had to have a break from doing koi fish. I was like, I can no more koi fish for a year, please.
So good. And were they kind of pushing for a bit of drama between you lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes, they have a for a reality TV show. They have a script which I didn't know, but we found, and then I was like, oh, they were trying to make me into a bad guy, make Dan look like an idiot, and
Yeah.
You know, like a drunken, and it's not like we're kind of like, and then they cut it, and then they can manipulate your words and stuff. But I mean, it was
Yeah.
still good fun.
Yeah.
We had so much fun back in those days.
I would imagine, yeah, because that was the height of, well, like, I guess kind of the start of the real black and grey Chicano kind of phase coming into play there, and then obviously with your color work, it must have been such an interesting little like, once the show started airing, it must have been so interesting to be in that studio, because you guys would have just
It wasn't a real studio.
Oh, it wasn't.
It's all fake. I was working it into
Just
you.
pop the
I took
bubble.
6 weeks off.
Yeah. Wow, so good. So where did they set that up? Where did you guys film?
So the first one actually was Dan Gold set it up with some other guy, but then Dan left it. And so the second one was in a restaurant in West London. Yeah, which they just set
Amazing.
up for 6 weeks.
So good.
Crazy.
Just guest spotting for 6 weeks in a restaurant.
Yeah,
Amazing.
bonkers.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
crazy.
it wasn't real. Nothing's real on TV.
Yeah. I always have to tell myself that, because I love watching behind the scenes stuff, and I
Oh,
always
right.
get bubbles popped when I watch it going, oh, that's how they do it. So I
Yeah.
should have known. Yeah, I should have known. So how long have you been in Shoreditch with Good Times?
I've been there for 12 years, just
12 years.
over.
Amazing.
Yeah, 12 and a half years.
It's such a beautiful spot that you had there,
I
or you
know.
have there. Yeah.
I know. I'm really sad to leave.
Yeah.
But my other shop is nice. It's nice. It's not as nice, but it's nice.
Similar size?
Doesn't have the big ceiling. Yeah, it's bigger actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Space, yeah. Is it still like, is it similar sort of setup? You know, kind of have to go upstairs, and it's away from the like not a street frontage.
Yeah. First floor.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Still like that.
So when do you move?
Depends. The builders are starting on Sunday, so see how long it takes. Really.
Amazing. What a cool opportunity, though. Like I don't. You sound, obviously you're a little bit gutted about the Shoreditch place. Are you excited about the opportunity of setting up a new shop?
Yeah. I'm just upset. There's things that I love about that shop. I love that. I mean, I hate Shoreditch now because it's all stag do's and hen parties, but I do like having drinks after work and being able to look out the window and watch them, and and still be there at 2 or 3 in the morning and still be able to just watch everything that's going on outside.
Yeah.
So I'll miss that, but I won't miss going outside and all the NOS canisters and the puke and the piss and the everybody throwing up and
The aftermath.
Yeah. But I'm going to miss my really high ceilings, because I don't have really high ceilings. Apart from that, it's a beautiful building.
Cool.
And it's got a garden.
Oh, nice. Yeah, cool. I think that I remember from being at your shop. I always the windows along the right hand side. I always, when I was getting the tattoo done by Matt, I was just thinking it'd be so cool if you could just pop out there and just hang. I know. It seemed like a really, like, cause so much sun pouring into those windows, and
Yeah. I know. There's loads of light in that shop. Well, there's loads of light in my new shop as well, which is good.
Cool. Oh, I'm excited to see how it comes along.
So am I.
Yeah, Christmas
It's
project,
really
eh?
so scary though, isn't it?
Yeah, it must be. Yeah.
You don't know what's happening, what they're going to do, if they're going to lock us in again, if they're all this bullshit.
Crazy time. Yeah. So how have the last couple of years been for you?
Yeah, good.
Nice.
Fine. Yeah, no, I've been fine. Yeah, just plodding along.
How long was London in lockdown? Because my brother lives in London still, and he was always quite grey around what he was doing. It just seemed like that you're always in a bit of a in a purgatory. You can kind of do stuff, but you kind of can't. It's not full lockdown, but it's
You just do whatever you want.
just go for it.
If you wanted, It's London. If you're in the centre of London, like where we are, there's anything goes. If you start to go out a little bit into suburbia, then you get all the nosy neighbours and you can't do anything you want.
Sure.
But in the centre of London, you can just walk around, you can get drinks, you get at the bars, the pubs are open, but you've got to stand outside,
Oh, everyone does that anyway. Yeah. So you said, you kind of mentioned that you come back to New Zealand quite regularly when you can. Are you quite up to date with what's happening with New Zealand tattooing? You kind of keep an eye on that sort of stuff?
No, I'm a bit out of date, to be fair. It's so hard. I mean, you can't keep up to date these days. There's a new tattooist every 5 bloody minutes, you know.
Yeah, even sooner than that. Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, because I remember it might have been Instagram or something. I remember seeing that you'd booth set up at the London convention, and obviously that's not happening anymore. Um,
Well, it's funny you should say that because there's a new one starting next year.
cool.
It's Perry from Total Tattoo magazine, so he's going to be doing it.
Epic at the tattoo.
Whereas the London one was done with Marcus, who was the president of the Angels, who I used to work for, and Mickey Violetto. But Marcus died last year,
Damn.
maybe the year before. Yeah, a year ago he died.
Okay. Are they going to do it at the Tobacco Docks, or are they going to choose?
No, it's going to be at the XL Centre, which I think is bigger.
Okay.
It's huge. I don't know. I don't think I've ever been to the XL Centre, but it's not far.
That Tobacco Docks are amazing. Such a cool venue.
Yeah, it is, but it's you kind of like separated in these different rooms, and it's quite. I liked it at the very first because I worked at every one. And the very first, it used to be down on Brick Lane. What's it called? Truman Brewery Building, and that was really cool. But it was over 2 floors, so you just like would get stuck on the stairs. Like, it would just be like it was horrible. Yeah. Apart from that, it was really cool because it was all one big. I like it when they're big rooms.
Yeah,
not sort of separated.
Cool, and you could just kind of go down the lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you done any other conventions over those ways in England and Europe? Any of the like Brighton or Manchester?
I used to do Brighton, and when I first came here, I used to go to Manchester.
Cool.
And Bristol was one of my favourites with Phil. I go to that one. And the only other one I usually go to every year is Paris. Cool. With Tintin, but that's been cancelled.
Yeah, crazy. So I have amazing memories of the London convention, obviously because it's just so different to anything over these ways. Just the Tobacco Docks, they're just sensational with that big pirate ship out the back. And
beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, amazing building. Yeah, cobblestones and the glass everywhere.
Yeah, and what I really liked about that, and I guess it's kind of testament to being such a hub, is the rooms that you were talking about. You could walk into a room and it would just be a specific genre of or style of tattoo, and you've got these killers, these like amazing tattooers that you just wouldn't see anywhere else, and all in that one room. And you'd spend an hour in that room and then just go, shit, I can go have a look at everything else as well, and the entertainment and just amazing shops and
the bars and then bands. Yeah, it's always good.
Yeah. And so how often are you tattooing these days?
I tattoo 4 days a week.
4 days, yeah, rad. And how often? Because I love the art that you're putting out. Like that wallpaper stuff is sensational. But the art that you're doing, I don't know if that's a watered down acrylic or if it's just watercolors. But the art that you're doing on that brown paper. I
started to study Chinese painting.
Yeah,
I'd always liked it and always tried to teach myself.
Cool.
I mean, I've got pretty much every Chinese painting book you could get. There's if you're ever in London, there's that Chinese bookshop. Have you been there?
I haven't, no.
Chinatown. Oh, well, next time you come over, let me know. I'll take you to Chinatown.
Amazing, yeah.
It's got this really good bookshop. Anyway, I tried to teach myself, and I'd been to a couple of people, and then I found this young lady, and she started teaching me. And so I used to see her. I used to go to like the school and every week, and then I didn't like going to the school, so I tricked her into coming to my house, and then she came to my house, and I saw her every week for about 5 or 6 or 7 years even.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's only stopped because of COVID. I haven't seen her for maybe 18 months, and then I've hardly painted in the last 18 months. Okay, I mean, I did the wallpapers and I did some other big things, and I did a painting yesterday for the first time in months. But so what it is you're painting on rice paper.
Okay, yeah.
With traditional Chinese brushes, and with Chinese, it's like a Chinese watercolor. So it's cool. Okay. It's just Marie's paints that come in little tubes.
Cool.
And you just load the brush up with your 3 different colors, and then you just go for it.
Yeah, those brushes are sensational. What you can do with them.
Yeah, it's called spontaneous style, which is more about being really fast. There's no drawing beforehand. It's about not thinking. I usually use my fingernail to draw a couple of circles or shapes where I want to put things to work out my composition.
Yeah.
And then sometimes if it's a big piece, I might make a composition up on my iPad. But if it's just some flowers or birds or whatever, I just like do some shapes. And then you just go for it. And then in my head, I just hear her saying, faster, faster. Don't think, faster.
Yeah, just get into
like,
it.
oh.
So
Yeah.
good. Have you always been into, obviously, like from the genesis of your tattooing, you're obviously taking art into Phil to show them and stuff. Have you always kind of kept art as a background to the tattooing, painting and drawing and anything around that kind of stuff?
You know what? I kind of been flitted in and out of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
At the start, I mean, I just found yesterday, because I was having a really good clean up, I found some old flash, which I must have been doing hard out at some point. But I mean, I didn't really ever like what I was drawing. I used to do a lot of portraits, believe it or not, of animals. I loved doing portraits when I was younger. And I guess now that's kind of coming into my Chinese paintings because I'm sort of doing more animals and stuff, which I really like. And I used to tattoo a lot of portraits and stuff at some point. And but yeah, I think that art, sometimes I've flitted in between it because I never felt like I found something that I really enjoyed until I discovered Chinese painting, because it's completely the opposite of tattooing. Tattooing is so intricate and so elaborate, and you've got to stay in the lines and all those boring blah blah blah, and your lines have got to be perfect, and then you've got to color in between the lines, and so when you're doing a painting, I hate having to wait for something to dry, and then so that's why for me spontaneous painting is just fast. Like yesterday, I did a painting. It's probably about, I don't know, 60 or 70, 80 centimeters high by about that, probably about 30. And it probably took me, 45 minutes.
Amazing.
And that's because I'm a bit slow at the moment. I probably could do that in half an hour or something.
So good.
Maybe it took me an hour yesterday, probably, but you should have taken me half an hour or something.
That looks like the ideal size that you could kind of start wrapping some skateboards with them. That would look quite cool.
I can't see guys wanting to have flowers. Oh no, girls might want the flowers.
I mean, just for skateboard art to have on the walls would be great.
Didn't think of that.
Next Avenue, yeah. I see. So it sounds like you've been doing the Chinese painting for maybe 6 or 7 years, but you can see it in your tattoos as well, right? Like it doesn't seem, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem to be too much line work in your tattoos. It looks quite watercolored and spacious almost, not confined by lines.
It's actually changing because I guess, because before I was tattooing more Japanese, which is more bolder and bigger, which is what I actually prefer to tattoo because like it's going to last longer. So, but I guess since I've been doing the Chinese painting, more people have been asking for it.
Got it.
And I can only advise them and say, look, it's maybe not going to last as long or as strong, but I would rather do Japanese with a bolder line, but I do enjoy the Chinese painting tattoos, but I do have to try to talk some black into it.
Yeah, it really is interesting seeing, like, I think it might have been a peacock that you've maybe
the peacock tiger.
Yeah, and you're seeing, like, obviously the wings, and there's just gaps between the wings, so really, really quite cool to see, and I always wonder how those are going to age with the person.
Well, I can tell you, I used to do stuff like that 20, 30 years ago, and probably not that great, but it's what they want. But what I am trying to use with my work is the composition of Chinese painting, because, like you say, there's a lot of space and lots of triangles and shapes, and like stuff that's nice for the eye.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's morning there. I'm sure you've got it. I don't want to keep you for too long. It's just it's just it's so nice to be able to have a chat to you. Are you working today?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm starting a cover up.
Yay.
Back. I actually quite like cover ups.
Yeah, it's a good challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't mind a cover up, and it's not too bad. Not too bad one.
Nice, nice. So I mean, yeah, I won't keep you for too long. I did want to ask about the Japanese art that you did, or you were doing, obviously, and you mentioned that you really love doing it. Is that something that you were uh, like keen on when you first started getting into tattooing, or was that something that you discovered as you started tattooing and going, oh, this is an art form that's just sensational?
Yeah. Well, when I first started tattooing in '91, there wasn't really, you didn't have a choice of what you wanted to do. You had to just do. I mean, I had another job. I was used to sing at night and band
Me too.
and tattoo during the day. And I made more money singing than
Yeah, yeah.
tattooing. So,
Where were you
you know,
singing?
oh, everywhere, all over,
Nice.
all over, all over Auckland and New
Yeah.
Zealand, like anywhere. Um,
I
I
was
was
the
always
same.
in band since I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but you didn't have a choice of what you wanted to do. And it wasn't until I came to London, I was doing quite a lot of Māori stuff, and I was doing quite a lot of portraits, like animals and that kind of thing. And then I started doing a lot of flowers and butterflies, and then people want a background behind them, and then it kind of just
Got
links
it.
itself to Japanese background. And then before you know it, I was doing Japanese. So it wasn't, my whole life has never been like a conscious decision. It's always been very organic.
Evolutions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And have you ever had a chance to go over to Japan to
No,
have a look at it? No.
I've
Okay.
never been there. It's terrible.
Amazing.
It's absolutely terrible
So good.
because whenever I go away, I always just go home
Yeah. Yeah.
or Mexico or
Rad.
Borneo or somewhere else.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, you're in such a perfect spot to just go anywhere. London's just such a hub. You can just go wherever you
Well,
want.
yeah, not at the moment, but
Yeah,
yeah,
obviously. Yeah,
usually.
yeah, yeah. And how interesting to hear that. Especially, obviously, I mean, Japan's a big trip, but I would imagine in London, you would have been one of the go-to people for that sort of art, especially being a female tattooer. A lot of ladies would have been coming to see you to get those sorts of pieces. It's
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
cool.
been a pretty good ride actually.
Yeah,
Coming to London was probably the best thing I ever did
cool.
because I was I was stagnant in New Zealand. I wasn't learning anything, and I actually thought I was better than I was. I had a big head, and I thought I was. And then I came to London, and I got knocked down to size, and it was really good
Yeah,
because I was one of three women in New Zealand when I first started. And then I thought I knew so much. I was like, yeah, I've been tattooing for 10 years. And I came to London, and then I was like, oh, fuck. You know what? I went to a convention in Barcelona when I first came, and I saw Robert Hernandez tattooing, and I was like, what the fuck? Because I came with one machine. I used to tattoo everything with one machine.
so good.
And all with rounds because that's what we were taught. There was no magnums. So then I just ignored everything that I'd been taught, which wasn't much, to be fair.
Yeah,
Phil just used to let me just sit and watch him, and that's how I learned.
yeah,
So I forgot everything I'd learned and retrained myself, and then when you start working with other people, I was working with Chris Higgins. He'd just started, and then I started seeing Thomas Hooper, and so we went out for a few years, and so working with him and hanging out with John Dirks, and then all these kind of things, it kind of, and Taz, it makes you learn a lot faster because everybody's chatting, and then you go to interview, and lucky I was with, some amazing people there, and so then you just learn and learn, and like I was just like a sponge. I was like sucking up everything, and so if I'd stayed in New Zealand, I wouldn't have had that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's so. And some of those names that you just mentioned, like Thomas Hooper is one of my favorite tattooists, and I heard he's kind of moved back your way.
Yeah. He's back down down St Leonard's,
Cool.
Hastings way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. Cool. Yeah. Oh, so good. And yeah, it's interesting. The couple of people that I've spoken to over the last couple of days, the style that they're tattooing in now is something that they always wanted to, and it just took that one person to say, if you just did it like this way, you try to be as much of a sponge as possible. And being around those sorts of artists back then must have been, it's so cool, such a cool learning experience.
Critique. I mean, because Tom had only just started; he'd only been tattooing a year or so, and then a lot of these people that we was hanging around with, they hadn't been tattooing for that long. And I had been tattooing a lot longer, but I hadn't been showing everything. You got to remember that when I came to England, there wasn't really internet. I just got an email address. We didn't have computers. We didn't have phones.
Yeah.
We had like a little brick phone, and in New Zealand you had to wait a year for a magazine to come out. So there wasn't a lot of reference, and people, they wouldn't discuss things. They wouldn't tell you they wouldn't share their secrets with you.
Quite secretive.
So when I came here and everybody started, talking to each other and telling you how they could do things, and there still wasn't the internet. I mean, I used to go to Easy Everything once a week to email my parents,
Yeah.
and you couldn't just go there and like, how do you tattoo this,
Yeah.
So there was all of that. So they were all learning together, but I'd already had 10 years of actually little bit of experience, but not knowing, but fumbling my way through. So
Sure.
it was kind of an amazing amalgamation, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Are you close at all with Lowe Hardy?
Yeah.
Cool.
Wouldn't
Obviously,
say I'm unclose, but wouldn't say we're best friends, but we're good friends.
I mean, like I remember going out to his studio, and it just must be cool for to be over there and have people that have been around for sort of that length of time as well, and being able to just such a cool culture over there back then, and obviously still now. So good.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's good. And our George Bone, all the good old guys. But then we had them in New Zealand. We had Merv, but he passed away. He was always amazing to me.
Yeah. Was Merv the guy that had the studio under the immigrant bar in the city? Was that Merv?
No, Merv was on K Road.
Oh, he's on K Road.
The
Okay.
Auckland tattoo studio, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Is that the one that that's what's the one?
No, not K Road, Ponsonby Road.
Yeah, that's where Brent was. That's where I got a tattoo from him. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Amazing.
No, what was the guy down in
Yeah, because I feel like that guy that had the one under the immigrant.
Rob Kraus.
That's the one, Rob. Yes. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, he gave me my second. He was tattooing from out west.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Nice.
Yeah. So that's what happened.
So good.
So moving away was the best thing for me, really, I guess.
I mean that might be a perfect time to let you go have your breakfast. I don't want to hold you up your the start of your day, but I just want to say I appreciate it so much having a bit of your time. As I said, you're someone that I really admire in the industry, and I actually fashioned a bit of my studio on yours, and you don't want to see it at the moment. It's a mess. I haven't been in here for 3 months. I'll take some photos and send it to you.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. But no, thank you so much. And if you're, next time you're back in New Zealand, I'd love to catch up and have a beer or have a coffee. And
okay, I will.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And let us know when it's up.
I definitely, I'll send it to you. Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Thank you. Enjoy your day.
Bye.
See you later.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.